Is the crowd ready? No!
Oh, it's so sad. We've been fighting about whether or not to fire it up, but we have now. Congratulations, boys. Now my camera's
Fire it up! Fire it up!
Fire it up! I don't understand. What's the connection? Blah 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 blah. I don't know. What show is this? Welcome to the Crafty Boys, episode 129. I was kind of secretly hoping that Locke would show up at some point, but maybe he still will. But that's okay. It's January. It's 2018, and Dave finally I can't think of a single thing.
His balls finally dropped?
Yes, that's exactly what it was. He hit puberty. Our little boy.
It's growing up.
That's all right, guys. Don't get jealous. It's okay. It'll happen for you eventually.
Oh, shut up. So,
are we going to drink beer tonight or what?
No. What? Who gave you this idea, Alan?
Like the end of Dazed and Confused. Like, God. I just watched that the other day. Anyway, with my dad. So let's get this thing started. So this week, we were a little confused on who was supposed to choose the beer, because as the world had it, I inadvertently chose the last two, because I bought them in December, and we were like, well, you should drink those anyway. They'll go bad. So, but Alan picked this one. Alan, why did you pick this one? Because I
picked this one for two reasons.
Okay.
We have not done this brewery on the show before, and I've been wanting to do this brewery for a while now, but there wasn't in a position for all of us to be able to get the beer from this brewery. And this week we had that opportunity, so I wanted to take it. And again, the second reason is because we could all get this beer at such short notice, actually. So the beer this week is from Red Arrow Brewing in Duncan, British Columbia on Vancouver Island. It is their Midnite Umber Ale.
Midnite Umber Ale.
Now, I'm a big fan of Red Arrow. I'll be honest, I've never had their Midnite Umber Ale before.
Oh, it's probably going to suck then.
I am a big fan of their Sweet Leaf IPA, and I highly recommend, if you're a fan of IPAs.
What is that called? The Sweet Leaf
IPA. Okay. If you can find it, it is a fantastic IPA. Like, we're talking like not quite Fat Tug, but it's getting there. It's close.
Okay. All right. Dave, have you ever had these guys before?
Have not. Nope.
Okay.
I didn't even realize they were a thing.
Yeah. Actually, I went last summer to the brewery in Duncan while I was visiting my in-laws, and it's a cool little place there. Where you can have your growler filled and all that kind of stuff. I got all kinds of merch available. You can get a flight and sit down and drink a flight. It's kind of a cool little place.
Okay, well, Red Arrow, you are officially on our fancy Google map, which shares all kinds of cool things about where the breweries are and what episodes we have covered. You are now episode 129. Congratulations. Let's drink it.
All right. I'm opening mine.
Now, Dave, where did you get yours?
Where did I get mine? I got mine at the Courtney booth store.
Doing my pour. Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we are. By the way, full disclosure, this same glass drank the wit beer from that we didn't do in the show. That's okay. It's all gone now. Wow, that's actually that reminds me of the beer that I make, actually. Look at that. That color.
Yeah.
Very caramel.
Now, it says on the bottle here, every brewery needs a guardian. Meet ours, Christopher, The all-seeing gargoyle.
He's right there. Christopher is on the front of the bottle. Good job.
He's been watching over the building for years. As the bell tolls in the darkest hour, Christopher is always keeping a watchful eye. Midnite Umber Ale pours ruby brown and has notes of candied apricot, toffee, and brown sugar, balanced by a solid hand of Southern Hemisphere hops, the best of teas and temptation.
And if you go to their tasting room, be sure to say hi to Christopher. Otherwise, he'll follow you home and kill you.
I have to point out, I've been to the brewery, as I said. I don't remember a gargoyle. It's probably like this little thing.
Alan, don't look behind you.
It's not bad. It's easy drinking.
It reminds me of something. What does this remind me of? I don't know. It's kind of
it doesn't look like it's light, but it is very light.
You know what this reminds me of? Driftwood's I want to say what is their ale called? We did it a while ago. New Growth?
Yeah.
Problem is, it's been too long since I've had the New Growth, so I gotta say I'm impressed. It's not blowing me out of the water because it's sort of a it's kind of it's like a is this part of their main like you know more about them than I do? Is this part of their main stable of beers that they make?
Yes.
So I mean that's exactly what I kind of feel like. It's a beer that's drinkable. It's not offensive. You can have a couple of these and not be, unhappy. And it just answers the whole, it answers guys, when we're making beer, we got to have like 4 or 5 that we make all the time that we can't screw it up. We'll do the seasonal stuff later. Right now, we got to establish our line. And that's what it feels like. It feels like, a decent, beer that
you know what this would appeal to? People who like drinking pale ales, but want to look like maybe they're a bit more beer snobbish than a pale ale drinker would be.
Yeah, kind of like Piper's after the reformulation.
Right, and they just added a little bit more brown sugar to this.
Yeah. Interesting. I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased.
Dave, what do you think?
I don't mind it. I think I've been
you don't mind it?
Spoiled?
You're spoiled?
It's very mellow, which is nice.
It is.
I don't mind that. That's the first word for me that came to mind was mellow. And totally what you guys said. Totally. But I think usually I look forward to something that's got I'm not even sure how to describe it, but it's just got a little more something going on. Maybe you notice the hops
a little bit more panache.
Panache. Sure.
Okay.
We can go with that.
The Crafty boys like Red Arrow's Midnite Umber Ale. Dave wishes it had more panache. So Red Arrow, please add more panache next time you make this beer.
And I think when we make our beers, we need to make one called panache.
Okay. I can see that. Panache.
Now,
panache.
They have several beers that they offer.
Okay, what else they got?
Well, they've got was it a Pilsner actually that is quite good. I'm not a big Pilsner fan, but it's if you're going to have a Pilsner, it's pretty good. Again, I go back to the sweet leaf. I mean, if I'm going to get something from Red Arrow, it's going to be the sweet leaf.
Okay. So overall, this beer, it works. It has a taste that is like a decent ale. Like, this reminds me of other ales that we've had, pales that we've enjoyed, and it's not too adventurous though. It's like it's not trying to stand out. It does have kind of a. Have you guys noticed this? At the end, like at the back of the throat, I get kind of like a chocolatey kind of thing going on.
Okay, sure.
I don't know. Is that just me, or maybe kind of a nutty flavor, like a what do they say on the bottle? Pours Ruben has notes of candied apricot, toffee, and brown sugar. I don't know. Maybe it's the brown sugarish kind of thing that I'm feeling.
It could be. I was
tasting.
expecting a sweeter beer.
Yeah.
Just by looking
overall,
at it,
I give it a thumbs up.
Yeah.
So, Dave, you and Alan were fighting earlier.
Just for
he started it.
I'm just going to throw this down. That we are all concerned about the Han Solo movie that's coming. Now, the Han Solo film is going to be released in May on, I believe, the Memorial Day weekend, and which is the original spot where these films normally were released. Guys, do you guys remember when episode 2, episode 3, when those were released? Was that Memorial Day as well? I don't remember.
Which episodes are these? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I think I've heard rumors. Because here's the thing. We've had these big blockbusters being released in December for quite some time. I mean, it kind of started with the Lord of the Rings films back in 2001 coming out around the 22nd, sort of that week right before Christmas. And Star Wars kind of followed suit. Now, is that
blockbusters coming out at Christmas for way longer than that?
Okay, what are the ones? I can't think of any. Die Hard came out at Christmas time? I don't think so.
Yeah,
it was a Christmas movie.
Christmas movie, but I don't think it came out on. Okay, I'm looking this up, you wieners.
Yeah,
it was released on July 12th.
It was not.
Doughheads. It totally was. I have it right here. Wikipedia would never lie.
Wikipedia.
July 12th, 1998.
I could go into Wikipedia and change it to say November 12th.
All right, I'll do that right now. November 12th. Yeah, fuck Wikipedia. No, so yes, these may be Christmas. That may be a Christmas movie, but it wasn't.
Home
Alone. All right, let's start the Wikipedia search comparison. Now Home Alone, I seem to remember, was released around Christmas time.
Yes,
November 16th. So not quite Christmas, but enough time for people to see it and get in the mood.
I think traditionally has spring summer not been the season of the blockbuster.
Yes.
When did the first blockbuster get released? Do you guys remember?
More like late spring.
Okay.
And Star Wars traditionally has come out in, like May, June, somewhere around in there. So, yeah, I would absolutely love a return. It also makes it easier to camp out for opening night if you're a nerd and you're inclined to camp out. It's really hard to camp out in December.
True.
Yeah.
Now, I'm trying to remember a film that I hung out, like I camped out in.
I did once.
For which film?
And you were there. It was
Which film did we camp out for?
it was episode 1. Yeah.
Okay, I'm out of here.
You know what? The camping out,
that live on the internet.
the experience of the camp out was the most fun of that whole thing. Like the movie itself was such a letdown, but I'm glad that I had the experience of camping out with all these nerds and everything out in front of the theater.
Yeah, because we did that out in what was that place?
That was at the Caprice in Langford.
In Langford, yeah. Is the Caprice still there?
Mm-mm.
Is it gone? Okay.
No, gone.
They now have the second version of the whatchamacalls it. Famous Players.
Yeah, it's another kind of like Silver City type deal.
So yes, thank you, Silver City.
It's not a Silver City, but it's same deal. The Odeon.
Oh, I thought it was.
Okay.
No, it's it may as well be. It's not called Silver City in name, but it looks like Silver City.
Have you ever been there?
Yes, I have.
And is it any good?
Movie theater.
Same thing. Oh, better question. Have you ever been Capital 6 in the last year?
Yes.
And?
Amazing. I actually went, the movie that I went to go see wasn't anything great. I took my youngest son, and the only thing that was playing there that was suitable for him was Cars 3, Pixar film. So we went and watched that.
Bastard.
We went and watched that. It wasn't that bad. And we almost had the whole theater to ourselves. And the seats are glorious. Although if you're the least bit tired, you will fall asleep in these seats. They are that comfortable. I mean, you can recline back. It's got the controls and everything. The theaters themselves are the same size as what they used to be, but the seats are so much bigger. The one theater that we were in actually only had 5 rows of seating.
What?
Yeah. Now this is probably the smallest theater that the Capital 6 offers. It's the theater number 1. So if you go up the spiral ramp,
right,
it's like right off of the spiral ramp there.
Okay.
It's the smallest theater that it offers, but it had. I remember I saw one of the Ernest movies back in the early 90s or something there.
Were you trying to bore a girl to death or something? Like, if she gets bored of the movie, she'll want to go home.
You moron.
Well, I'm glad I didn't put out.
Me too.
What? We went
anyway, it had a lot more rows.
Back up. Okay. We went to an Ernst movie?
Yeah.
In a theater?
Yeah.
You were probably.
I can't remember which Ernest. It was either Ernest Goes to Camp or Ernest Goes to Jail. One of the two.
And here
I'm pretty sure it was Ernest.
And here, just a week ago, I was lauding the fact that I was like, I've never seen an Ernest movie because they're, it's too bad Varney died.
You have seen an Ernest movie.
I have no memory of seeing a movie, especially an Ernest movie.
Ernest Goes to Jail. And then we also saw, at a later time, we saw Ernest Saves Christmas.
Is this like, does watching these movies have some sort of PTSD impact on somebody because they block it from their memory? Because I have no memory of this at all. I remember watching the films with what's his face in them. Everyone's my friend. Oh my God. Pee Wee Herman.
Pee Wee Herman?
Pee Wee Herman movies. I remember seeing the first one because I remember the best scene on the planet, which was Big Marge in the truck. It looked like this, but I have no memory of watching Ernest Saves Christmas, nor of any of the other ones. My God, is it? There must be some sort of.
My God, has it been that long?
I just picture myself in a dark basement somewhere with like water dripping from the ceiling going. And my entire life has just been in my mind. And I'm just sitting there. I've like wasted away to like 90 pounds. And somebody just comes down every so often and spoons like oatmeal into my mouth, and then they leave. and then they just hose down the room every couple days. So what happened to him, Doctor? Jim Varney, man. We have an entire wing. All these people who are just I don't care if Santa saved. I don't care. Santa should die. Oh, that got really dark very fast. Alan, you brought us some links before we start fighting about Han Solo. What are?
Well, we never finished talking about Han Solo. We talked about getting into like May and everything.
Well, we should talk about the beer stuff first, and then we'll.
Well, you know, we could save the beer stuff for next week. Let's finish this discussion.
Yeah, screw beer. This is about Star Wars. If you don't like it, you could just keep watching, because you know.
Please.
Okay. Well, okay. Well, we finished talking.
Okay, so we were debating about the Han Solo movie.
Okay. You
were going somewhere with this.
Well, you're concerned it's going to be a comedy.
Strongly believe.
Are we talking like slapstick comedy? What style of comedy?
No. We're not doing like the Three Stooges here.
Which would be awesome, by the way. Could you imagine Chewbacca going, "Oh," like that? Just wow! I just destroyed my entire. Thanks.
Oh, wise guy, huh?
Okay, sorry, you were saying.
Yes, I strongly believe, and I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I think that they're trying to go a little bit different. And reading some interviews with Ron Howard has made me sort of believe that maybe they're thinking of doing the Han Solo movie like a buddy comedy. You know, like sort of like a buddy cop comedy or something like that, but not cops. You know,
wouldn't that be cool? Han, Chewie, who's this guy? His name's Lando. All right, you're all deputized. You've got to make the Kessel Run in 12.4 parsecs.
Now, apparently, that might be in the movie, the Kessel Run.
Hear that being in the movie, but you know what? It's kind of the argument. I mean, here's the thing. The argument.
What I would like to know: are we going to see the Millennium Falcon brand new?
I hope so.
It's still going to have like the sticker on the window.
I hope so, because it'll also have a round dish again, instead of that weird little triangular deal.
Rectangular.
What did I say?
No, he got it used.
Rectangular. Sorry, not triangular. But well, here's the thing: is I'm trying to remember how. Now, here's the stupid thing: the Millennium Falcon, which I'm gonna find if I can see if I can find it. But essentially, the Millennium Falcon is really, really, really old. And it's like it was built a long time before Han Solo got it, and because in my mind, when Han Solo won the Millennium Falcon from Lando Calrissian, they referred to it as a hunk of junk. Now, is that because that design is just a piece of crap, or is it because that particular ship just is old? And that's what I was reading, and somebody actually, there was a video sometime, maybe I saw it last summer or so, but it was a while ago, where they actually did the math and calculated how old the Millennium Falcon is. And it was something like, by the time Solo got it, it had been around for like 50 years or something. So I'm going to see if I can find that and dig out.
That's a down.
Yeah, there we go. Vehicle. How old is the Millennium Falcon? So supposedly, according to this, the Falcon is 20 to 40 years old by the time Han Solo gets it, which makes it about 80 years old by the time we see the Millennium Falcon at the end of Jedi. So now
it's basically like a rat rod.
Pretty much. It's like, you know, if you were George Lucas in the 50s with his hot rod cars driving up and down the Sunset Strip or wherever he grew up, he would be driving a Millennium Falcon. Yeah, so here we go. So according to depicts the Millennium Falcon on her first day of assembly, according to the novel Millennium Falcon in 2008, which of course is not canon, but I'll go with it. The year is 60 before the Battle of Yavin. So the Battle of Yavin, yeehaw, way to go, kid.
Is that year 0? What? No.
Year 0 is the in the extended universe. 0 is the first Death Star being blown up. So it's 60 years old by the time that happens. Add in another, what is it between episode 4 and 6? What is the time? I can't remember.
Probably about 4 years.
Some of that. So yeah, so this thing, so then you add on another however many years for
30.
Episode 7. Then you have that. So that's an old boat, man. And so no wonder people are bitching and moaning that it's a hunk of junk. But she's the fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy.
You would think if she were that old that like there would be people lining up to get it.
That it would be like a collector's item?
Yeah.
It is possible. I mean, imagine how much it would cost to overhaul that to be relatively new.
But maybe people don't think that way either in that galaxy.
About
collectability. Like, it's not a thing for them.
It is possible. It is highly possible.
True.
I mean, you think of Star Trek, where money was done away with after the Third World War, because they just, you know, they was like, this is what causes everything. Let's get rid of it. We'll figure it out otherwise. Well, you know, then of course the Vulcans land. They're like, hey, everybody, let's do away with poverty and silliness. Not silliness. Well, actually, I guess the Vulcans would probably want to do away with that. Sickness and everything and blah, 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 blah. In 50 years, everything's going to be awesome. So, you know, to be honest, this vision just popped into my mind, thinking of that, the 50-year mark after first contact with the Vulcans. And then like the Vulcans have been all very, you know, all right, everyone, we're going to be, these are my Vulcan years, by the way. We're going to be doing all kinds of logic puzzles and making sure that we all learn how to be human. And then, you know, on year 50, they're all like, okay, we've got to celebrate 50 years of first contact. It's going to be awesome. And then the Vulcans all come up on stage. They're like, oh, human race, blah, 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 blah. And then they just like rip off their things and you know, just some sort of dance show with like just Vulcans, you know,
light them up, bitches.
Light them up. Well done, human race. We're taking your planet now. So orbital bombardments now. Wow, that again went really dark.
Hey, before we get off, well, I'm going to get us off topic here. Getting to Star Trek, have you been? Of course, it started back up again. There's been 2 episodes in the second half of the season.
I will stop you right there. No spoilers. I'm only on like episode 6 or something, or 7.
Okay. All right. Okay, Shane, have you seen any?
You guys like stuff? I have not watched it since episode, what I guess 8 in the fall, which came out in November. So I have not watched it this month. So
okay,
it's probably what 2 episodes in, maybe.
It is 2 episodes in.
Yeah. And it has another 6, I think.
So in the 8th episode that you watched, where did they end up? I'm just trying to remember what the last, if it was episode 8 or episode 9 as the last one from the fall.
Episode 8. I'd actually have to look. Episode 8, Discovery.
I gotta say, I am still impressed with the show.
Yeah, and I'm becoming more impressed with it now. I wasn't actually.
I knew you would come around, Alan. I knew you would.
Well, things have happened, and I'm starting to think more now, and I'm like, oh, this is very interesting. I would kind of like to talk to you guys about it, but apparently I can't, because.
Sorry, I'll try and catch up.
Please do, Shane. You too.
I'm trying. I think it was where they. It was. I know. I think it was episode 9. Hang on.
Is that the one where they had Stamets do all the spore jumping?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Because
Hmm.
So.
And then at the end, they ended up.
There's no stars. I'm making that up, but yeah, no, there was a part of that episode, or that was the episode that was the last one before Christmas, which was like November 20th or something.
So it's very interesting. Moving forward, I've heard a fan theory that I was hoping to be able to chew the fat with you guys about, but
well.
That'll have to wait.
So, Dave, before the show next week, you're going to have to really catch up. You're going to have to binge some episodes, man. And actually, I'll have to watch I guess 2, maybe actually 3. When is the third one out?
On Sunday.
So I'll have to go through 3. So, which is going to be hard. I'm going to have to push myself all the way through watching Star Trek. It'd be terrible.
Just imagine.
So I have to, I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but I think that initially the story is kind of like, what the fuck? But the other day I happened to watch the opening of Star Trek, The Motion Sickness, where V'ger is showing up to basically wail on the so that space station, wherever the hell that space station was.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it opens with the Klingons encountering the V'ger. So I gotta say, reflecting on previous stories within the Star Trek motion picture and television series, it's actually not that weird. And initially I was kind of like, what the hell? What are they talking about? What exactly is this weird thing? And then go and watch the opening episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. I mean, let's go to a planet where everything magically comes around, and when you want something, it just materializes without much more than a thought of wanting it, and no technology required. And oh, look, we're actually living on large space alien creature-y things with like tentacles and stuff.
What? I don't remember that shit. Encounter at Farpoint?
Encounter at
Farpoint. That was it? Wow.
Yeah, remember. Okay, Encounter at Farpoint.
Oh my god.
They were at this planet that was being attacked by this space creature that was like an alien disc with tentacles on the bottom of it. And the city that was built on top of this thing, which of course you didn't know it was built on top of anything except for land, they figure out that this thing is being held against its will, so they get it, somehow they release it, which I don't remember how, and then it flies up into space and holds.
They release drive plasma. That's the solution to everything. Release drive plasma.
Sure. Which, by the way,
repointing the deflector dish. That solves everything.
But I have a theory. I thought you might. If we have a resonance burst from the deflector dish, we might break the whatever the fuck was. Wow, I've like hit like 5 different Star Trek movies, series, things. You know, I'm having trouble these days remembering the names of people and things in different movies and stuff. If I could purge all the Star Trek knowledge out of my head, I might start remembering that stuff. That's the problem, man. When you're midway through your 40s, your brain starts to be like, there's more important stuff to worry about, like dying. Okay, great. So we don't need to remember the names of whether or not Starsky and Hutch was really a thing or just a figment of your imagination. Luckily, it was a real thing, but you know, what can you do? That car, man, that car. I always wanted that car.
Such a cool car.
It was a cool car. But
what was the coolest car on TV?
The coolest car on TV? Well, it had to be Kit. I think out of all the cars I can think of, it has to be Kit. Not because of the model of car, but just, you know, what that character embodied, right? It was a car that at the time was cool. Well, you wouldn't catch me driving it now, but you know, although that said, I would drive it, but it would have to have the thing at the front.
Yes.
You know, woo, woo. And it would have to have the steering wheel that was the.
I don't think that steering wheel's legal.
Probably not, but I want it anyway.
Because this isn't even a wheel; it's like a stick.
Yeah, well, it's a stick, but well, actually, if you watch Hasselhoff drive it, he does still treat it like a wheel, right? There's a few times where I always remember him backing Kit up, and he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna back up." But then he like spins it with his hand, you know, just like you would any other sort of wheel. Anyway, I always remember that, and I don't know why. It's total, again, useless information that is reserved in my head, and my memory I need some more memory engrams to be inserted into my brain because this is bullshit. This whole thing with age, man. Dave, been finding
what do you think is the best TV car ever?
Oh man. Jeez. So, not Kit, although I can see totally what Shane's talking about. TV only, right?
Yeah, TV only.
Okay.
There's too many options for movies.
Yeah, very true. Okay, give me a minute. I'm having to chew over options here. I think for me it would have to come down to General Lee or Magnum's Ferrari.
Ooh, yeah, of course.
Tough call.
For me, easily, hands down, the best TV car, the General Lee from Dukes of Hazzard.
Hands down, eh?
Hands down.
I hadn't even thought of that as my list. So
racist stuff on the roof, notwithstanding. But that is one sick car, and I would happily drive that thing around town.
I gotta say I would too, just because it is a bloody cool.
Would you drive it with the Confederate flag on the roof?
Probably, yeah. I mean,
I don't think when 10 years ago I would have. I don't know about today.
Car is a character in a show. I mean, no one is ever going to win this argument at all, but it's, to me, it's a flag on a car. And were I to drive or want to own that car, that would have to be included. I wouldn't want to drive it without it, because then it wouldn't be the General Lee.
It is a big part of the look, to be fair.
So, but I mean, here's the thing, right? I mean, there's all these historical context, there's historical stuff around what happened in the South during the Civil War, et cetera, et cetera. And what it meant after the war and what it meant before the war. So I don't know. Here's the thing. I'm a white boy from the west coast of Canada. I don't pretend to understand what it means. I don't pretend to understand the full impact of people that grew up and have had that historical part of their life.
Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is that has no relevance here.
It has no relevance for me. I'm sure it has relevance to some people here, of course, but I don't know. To me, there is a division between fiction and reality. And when a car called the General Lee has a Confederate flag on the roof, to me, that's okay. It might not be okay for everyone, but I'm not going to say that I'm a bad person for saying that it's going to be okay for me. Would I ever want it as like I flaunt to say that I support what the flag meant at one time? Of course not. But again, to me, I also have the streak of history is in the past. So what do we do moving forward?
So what do you say to the, and this is true, Dukes of Hazzard will never be shown on TV again. All because the Confederate flag on top of the General Lee. What do you think about that?
So, sorry, pause there for a moment. Is that really a thing? Is that what you have read?
That is really a thing. That is really a thing with all the
wow.
Because some cities down in the southern states still have, statues of Civil War heroes and stuff like that were in support of slavery. And they're trying to change things and have these statues knocked down. There's like all this fight about it, and justifiably so. But some place, I can't remember where exactly, still has the Confederate flag flying, and they're trying to have that changed. And in response to that, a television station, a national television station in the States that was showing like reruns of Dukes of Hazzard, pulled Dukes of Hazzard, saying that they would no longer show it because the Confederate flag is featured so prominently in it. So
that's a bit of a shame. Well, here's actually, so I pulled this up here while you guys were mentioning that. So the 2015 Confederate flag controversy. In the aftermath of the 2015 Charleston, South Carolina shooting deaths, where the backlash against the Confederate battle flag due to the flag's historical associations with treason, racism, slavery, and white supremacy. In response, Warner Brothers Entertainment announced, as you said, that they would halt the production of General Lee toy cars. They would also, restrict the showing of the show. Ben Jones, who played Cooter, criticized the move, stating that I think all of Hazard Nation understands that the Confederate battle flag is the symbol that represents the indomitable spirit of independence, which keeps us making our way the only way we know how. John Schneider responded by stating, I take exception to those who say that the flag on the General Lee should always be considered a symbol of racism. Is the flag used as in such other applications? It certainly is, but not by the Dukes. And here's the sad part for me. On July 2nd, 2015, the golfer Bubba Watson, who currently is the current owner of Lee 1, which is the very first car that was made for the show, announced on Twitter that he would be painting over the Confederate flag on the car's roof. His announcement prompted the owner of the Volo Auto Museum to offer to purchase the car, citing that it was significant because it was used as the show's in the first season and it would be worthy of inclusion in the car museum. Unfortunately, it was turned down. So, I mean, here's the thing.
Bummer.
In this day and age, in the culture that we currently have, where outrage is so quick to be lauded as right,
yes,
reason is not going to win, because the reality is a lot of the outrage is driven from an emotional core. Initially. And then, of course, you have what gets built on top of that, hopefully is a discussion about why things are incorrect, why things should be considered bad, whatever. And it's not just happening in the Confederate flag. It's happening with Me Too. It's happening with all these different movements where you have a lot of people who are jumping on a bandwagon to support other people, which is great. And that's the thing, is that the reaction is great. It's the overreaction that's the problem. Where, I mean, it was happening on universities before the Me Too thing really hit the sort of the mainstream, where because somebody disagrees with somebody else, if they are louder, therefore they win, and and the conclusion must be that the individual that they disagree with, or group, or whoever it is, or whatever it might be, must be silenced. So I kind of prefer a more balanced conversation about these incredibly hot button topics. But right now, in the current environment and the current way that things are being dealt with, especially with the whole sexual stuff going on with Hollywood and those sorts of things, it's just too raw right now. It's too raw, and it needs to be dealt with in a way where those raw feelings can be expressed and can be not muted or muffled, because these individuals that have suffered these ways, be it from stuff over the last 100 years of the States, or the last 50 years of Hollywood, we have to let them have their voice and let them speak. But at some point, reasonable reactions must sort of take precedent, because otherwise the history is just going to cycle and repeat itself. Where you had a bunch of crazy white supremacist people running around lynching black people. It's just going to turn into a bunch of angry people lynching people who have been accused of being sexual predators when they may not be. Like, here's the thing, and the ugly part of this whole thing is that even though you point a finger at somebody to say you did this horrible thing to me, or to a number of people, you must pay the price for that. That person you're accusing still has the right to defend themselves, whether you like it or not. And that's the part that's scary to me, where there is this instant reaction to people who stand up and say, hey, maybe we should, it's most likely that this person did these things because 20 people say they did. But they have the ability to go get a lawyer and defend themselves against any accusations that are made. So, but the thing is, no one's going to win until those raw emotions, at least from my perspective, are vented. And it's an unpopular opinion, but I actually, what's his face? James Franco, the actor, has been accused now of, from 3 or 4 different people, of being inappropriate. And I just read yesterday or this morning that Ashley Judd, who was one of sort of the first people that was speaking about this sort of stuff, especially about Weinstein, that she she was saying that the reaction that people should be having is how Franco reacted. And Franco said, I don't think what I've been accused of is entirely accurate, but I'm not going to sit here and defend myself right now, because these people need to be heard. They need to voice what they're feeling. They need to actually speak. And if I react and say, up yours, I didn't do these things, it's just going to not make them speak. So he doesn't want to step on anyone's toes. He wants them to vent. And then later on, he'll say, okay, well, now we can discuss what we do next. So
that's pretty cagey.
So, but again, Ashley Judd going, that was the best way to react, instead of, I mean, now we have, what's his face?
Aziz,
Master of None. Aziz, yeah, where his reaction, I gather from what I've read so far, is kind kind of being a dick, I guess. You know, he's not speaking himself. He's letting other people speak for him, blah, 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 and not saying things. I mean, I haven't read what he said, but
I thought he did answer pretty much right away.
Did he? That
was my sense of it. I
haven't followed it that closely, but I just the one thing that I read that he's letting his people talk for him. So again, that's his right? So I mean, it's this whole balance. It's this whole problem with the balance of essentially the law. I mean, I wish Locke was here, but you know that yes, you can say that somebody did something horrible to you, but they still have the right to say, well, maybe not, or I didn't understand, or whatever it is. But right now, if you say pretty much anything except for admitting it, you know, you are basically roasted, and history will, you know, we're going to be lynching people because of these things, and I don't ever want that to happen again, because it shouldn't have happened during the civil rights movement, during, you know, the early parts of what happened in the South for the early stages of the United States. None of that stuff should happen ever again, regardless of what it's based on, whether it's race or whether it's sexuality. Like it just shouldn't happen. We should be able to have conversations about it. But the problem is, as I said before, when it's raw emotion and now people are feeling empowered to actually say something, I think they should say stuff. But after the anger sort of subsides a bit, they should be able to settle down to a point where they can actually have discussions. Now, that's assuming the people that they feel they've been wronged by are willing to do that as well. So it's kind of one of those things, like some people can be human about it and some people are just going to be assholes regardless of what it is. So, but it's an opinion that I have about this whole thing, but again, it's not exactly that popular right now, at least
because you're a white male.
Well, you know, that's the other thing too, is that saying these things simply because I have this, you know, lack of pigment or whatever that we want to call it, and I'm a dude. I mean, right now, I mean, hell, I just read something the other day. There's a play in town in Vancouver here that has a cast of black actors, black women. And I'm actually not sure what the play is about. But there was a white girl, a woman, who posted on Facebook the other day that was saying that she saw from a local paper, a white male there as a reviewer for his job. And she said on Facebook that who wants to hear what a white male has to say about this play? And that's a dangerous touchstone, I think, for some of this, is that somebody being outraged on behalf of somebody else or a group of people, I don't think is a healthy thing. I think in support, but also along with the same group or the same person, whatever it might be, because from what I gather, one of the actors saw the posting or was told about it and basically told her to shut up because she's a white girl. So, you know, it's just that sort of thing, right? And I've seen that a few times where, you know, somebody basically, instead of showing support, they show outrage on behalf of. And I think there's a very distinct difference between those two, where if you want to support somebody or support a group of people or support an organization or whatever it might be, you go there and you offer your support. And I think with the ease of Twitter, Facebook, etc., people jump instantly to the outrage conclusion that therefore I perceive that this thing is wrong and they're the people being wronged. So therefore I will jump in and defend those people, even though I've never spoken to them. I've never talked to them. I don't actually know who they are, but they instantly judge somebody based on, oh, they're black, they must be oppressed. So therefore I'm going to say that white people shouldn't review the show. So yeah. I don't know, man. I really have a huge problem with the age of outrage.
I'm not even gonna talk about it because there's no way that I can say anything and be respected for it. So,
well, exactly, and that's the thing is that
I could say something in favor of people who are oppressed or whatever, and it still will come off as I'm just being an empowered
white male privilege.
Which
is always a default fallback for a lot of these arguments. Which
if anybody ever tells me again how privileged I am, seriously, I'm gonna.
Y'all sacrifice my youngest. But again, it needs to happen because evolution and change only happens through this kind of stuff. And unfortunately, in my case, I'm a white male, so therefore, I am by default. You're not generally going to be looked on as somebody who can support these things, can support these situations, can fight against oppression, can fight against things. But again, a lot of I would prefer to offer my assistance rather than just jump to conclusions about people that I know that have a different color of skin, right? So, it's never going to win and you're never going to lose. So at the same time, all we can do is just kind of go, don't be an asshole. Don't be jerks. Be nice. And, treat others with empathy, even if they've done you wrong. And, hopefully
be excellent to each other.
And
party on, dudes.
That's pretty much it. Wow, what a depressing kind of way to do to talk about the show. But hey, I gotta say, it's all Dave's fault. So thanks a lot, Dave.
At least his balls have finally descended.
Right? I know, totally.
I mean, that's a big step. Congratulations, Dave.
As I said before, don't get jealous. It'll happen for you.
All right.
On that note, I like the beer. Thank you to
Me too.
Red.
It was actually
Arrow.
Really good, and for a beer that was only 5%, I'm really feeling it.
Nice.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm pretty feeling it too.
Yeah,
definitely.
All right, boys. Well, thank you all for watching. I hope that you go and reflect on what beer can do for your life. And we try not to be controversial, but what can you do? We're human.
And before we finish here, I know we've been kind of depressing a little bit. I kind of feel like that we should do this. Let's raise a glass.
Oh, crap.
In memory of Dolores O'Riordan from the Cranberries.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Oh, thank you for reminding us. That's actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's to you, Cranberry family.
I had no idea she's our age, ish.
Well, she's a year older than me. I mean, wow.
Yeah, that is a sad, horrible situation, and that.
Well, we don't know what happened, but
yeah. What can you do? It's again.
That's life.
That's how life is. We have fights. We disagree with one another. We love each other, and then we all end up in the same place. So it doesn't really matter. All
right.
Bye, everybody.